Okay, so I'd like to introduce our speaker today for Understanding Supply Chain Fundamentals. He is Greg Foskey, and Greg is a APICS associate instructor with over 30 years of supply chain management expertise, and he's also the Chief Financial Officer of Technology Transfer Services. So without stealing any of Greg's thunder, I'm going to turn it over to him so he can tell you a little bit more about himself and get this webinar kicked off. Greg, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, James. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on the understanding of supply chain fundamentals. This webinar is sponsored by the Florida West Coast chapter of APICS. APICS is a premier professional association for supply chain and operations management and the leading provider of research, education, and certification programs. APICS certification programs set the industry standard. With over 43,000 members and more than 3,000 international partners, APICS is transforming the way people do business, drive growth, and reach global customers. As James mentioned, I'm Greg Foskey. I'll be your presenter for today's program. My company is Technology Transfer Services. We've been in business for 22 years, providing consulting and training in all aspects of maintenance and operations management, including supply chain. I've worked and taught in the supply chain area for over 40 years and have a broad range of operations and international experience. I really enjoy sharing my experience with those of you who are looking to develop a stronger set of skills and knowledge in this very challenging and exciting area of business. Supply chain management is a major driver of the way we do business now and in the future. As a participant, your goal should be to become a vital component in the assembly of work and ideas that continue to evolve. A solid knowledge of supply chain management will give you a decisive and competitive advantage in our increasingly global environment. We will limit this program to 45 minutes to an hour. If anyone has questions during the presentation, please send them to me using the chat function. We will also have a quick Q&A session at the end. If you're calling in, please mute your phone so that we can limit the amount of background noise. James, I think, has that covered, but if anybody needs to mute it, they can do *6 to mute their phones. So if after this webinar you're interested in a deeper dive into the information provided today, I'll be conducting this APICS Basics of Supply Chain Management course starting on Saturday, February 6th in the Tampa, Florida area. This class is designed for those wishing to pursue the APICS CPIM certification. These February classes will present the body of knowledge required to pass exam number 1. After that, additional courses will be scheduled for the other exams. If you need more information, please go to apixtampabay.com and check out the various programs offered by our local chapter. Then give me a call at 813-908-1100 or email me at the email address you see shown to the lower left. I'll be providing this information again, by the way, at the end of the webinar. So we're going to go through very quickly topics covered. We're going to go not very deep into any one of these areas, but we're going to run through the end-to-end functions within the supply chain environment. So we're going to look at organizations, we're going to look at communication, collaboration, the criticality of those aspects, working environments, the different working environments that you can set up, goals, KPIs, systems used that are specific to the supply chain world, demand management. It's not just about the customer orders that you have on hand, but it includes future forecast demand. It includes spare parts, other things. That pushes down into the sales and operational planning area. Planning and execution takes that information and pushes it down into the production activity controls and other activities on the shop floor control. We'll look at sourcing, the purchasing side of this, and then the material and product flow within the factories and out to the customers. So by the end of this webinar, you should have a better understanding of the end-to-end activities that occur within a supply chain. I'll emphasize the critical need for communication, systems, and data management, as well as details of the planning and control activities. If anyone has a question that may take us beyond the intended scope of this webinar, I will be more than happy to talk with you if you call me afterward. For those of you new to this field, today's webinar may feel like an overwhelming amount of information. What I'll tell you is that we'll have a slide or two in a number of areas, but we will not dive too deeply into any. That's the purpose of taking the 4-day class, and we'll do the deep dive activities there. So you may have sat there and asked yourself, what's in it for me? Why would I sign up for this webinar? And beyond that, why should I take a path toward APIC certification? Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to be able to influence or become part of a higher level decision-making team at your company? Do you want your peers and managers to recognize your body of knowledge? Is your interest in providing a better life for your family? Maybe you want to expand your job employment opportunities or just improve your chances for a promotion in-house. APICS and the Florida West Coast chapter provide many opportunities for you to get involved and benefit from the experience. So APICS defines supply chain as a global network used to deliver products and services from raw materials to end customers through an engineered flow of information, physical distribution, and cash. Supply chain management is the design, planning, execution, control, and monitoring of supply chain activities with the objective of creating net value, building a competitive infrastructure, leveraging worldwide logistics, synchronizing supply with demand, and measuring performance globally. With the broad audience that APIC supports, these definitions may seem to be a bit general. In fact, they're intended to be. You and your company should look at your specific situation, create your own definitions, and incorporate them into your company-wide strategic and business plans. So end-to-end supply chain, you look at this chart, you'll see that information is critical to flow both ways. Your primary cash goes from customer to supplier. Your primary product flow goes from suppliers out to your customers. The chain may include a wide network of suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, dealers, and customers that contribute to the design, production, and delivery of products and services. Supply chain management has grown significantly in importance over the last 20 years. This has been driven by increased computer capabilities, faster internet speeds, a growth in global competition, shrinking product life cycles, improved freight programs, and an increase in the acceptability of subcontracting. There is now a need to be competitive, not just in the management of in-house inventories, but in the collective management of inventories from end to end. As this figure shows, a critical element to success is that information flow in a timely manner to all parties needing it, whether upstream or downstream. This includes demand and design information from the marketplace. This very basic figure shows a supply chain with 2 tiers in its supply base. It is a company that uses dealers to support some but not all customers. It also supports internal use demands. In many companies, the chain is much more complex. For example, you might have reverse logistics that's used for things such as returnable packaging, product returns, and rebuilding, remanufacturing. So supply chain management can actually be quite complicated. It's imperative that a supply chain incorporate information from its suppliers and customers when making product design and new product introduction decisions. Will the product satisfy customer needs? Is it possible to manufacture the product in a cost-effective manner and deliver it within an acceptable lead time? Collaboration is a key activity that will help assure that products will be of the right design and quality, deliverable at the right time, and at the right cost. Communication provides the critical information for supply chain partners to make their production and stocking decisions. If information is absent, incorrect, or late, a reaction called the bullwhip effect may take place. This is where key decisions are incorrectly amplified along the supply chain, with partners overreacting to changes in demand. For example, a bullwhip effect happens when you normally order 1 pallet from a supplier, but because of an oncoming storm, you may want to stock your warehouse ahead of time. You order 2 pallets and your supplier now assumes that your volume is growing, when in fact your volume will be going down after the storm passes. Without proper communication, this may cause your supplier to increase his demand for parts to supply you when you may not need it, thereby causing friction in your relationship with your trusted supplier. So getting into the manufacturing environments, in-house manufacturing, and then the processes and layouts that incorporate into those manufacturing environments. You've got products that are engineered to order. You've got products that are made to order. You've got those that are assembled to order, made to stock, and mass customized. Once you have those environments established, defined as the way you want to do your business, you've got process and layouts that are intermittent, flow, or project-based. So manufacturing factors that may be considered in supply chain decisions include the operating environment. This is also the point where you decide where you're going to hold your inventory. An engineered-to-order environment will likely have no finished goods, since it may produce items like custom airplanes. A make-to-stock environment may hold a significant amount of inventory and finished goods, selling items like, say, toothpaste. This affects the decisions of the operations and their processes. Publishing the morning newspaper, refining oil, and making airplanes all have a process that best fits their needs. One size does not fit all. So we know that goals within a supply chain have inherent conflicts. You've got manufacturing who wants more inventory so they don't run out of anything and can produce in the most efficient manner. Finance wants to keep inventory investment to a minimum while still supporting revenue needs. Marketing wants finished products on hand so that they can achieve their customer service goals. When combined, goals are set with the best interest of the company, its employees, its suppliers, and its customers in mind. We call this a balanced scorecard approach. It is a set of goals that provide the best balance for the satisfaction of all concerned. So the takeaway is, in a balanced scorecard environment, it is critical to have systems that can share data between functional areas. So who's responsible and what tools can be used to help achieve these performance goals? And how do we keep track of who does what, in what system, when, why, and how? There are a wide variety of software applications that cater to the specific needs of a department or group of departments. In order for them to operate effectively for the company as a whole, they must function in an integrated way. So I'll give you just a second to take a look at this little cartoon. I think it sums up one of the points coming up. So here we're told about awesome data coming from our different systems. Isn't that cool? The million-dollar question comes in panel 2. Why are you doing it? The response is, we're not sure yet, but imagine the possibilities. This has to be valuable. So some companies have taken the acquisition and implementation of systems just for the sake of having the systems as a mission-critical need. They may not know all of the reasons why they want to have a particular system. They just know that, well, maybe the competition has that same system. As I said before, supply chains and many systems that support them are often more complex than they first appear. A system decision that is incorrect can become as effective as using a hammer to put in a screw, but a lot more expensive. What's the bottom line? Analyzing any system decision should always start with why and leave the what and how for later. So how do you choose the right systems? You got to deal with your business size, the complexity, product conversion processes that we talked about earlier, customers, suppliers, internal information requirements. You got to make sure that it aligns with the processes that you're planning on moving forward with. Look at your all-in costs, not just your packaging costs, but look at all of the additional costs: installation, conversion, financing, training, utilities, interfaces, etc. And then look at the compatibility with other hardware and communication systems that are going to have to integrate with that new system. There are many systems to choose from, and it's important to look at your company's needs, policies, procedures, and strategic direction before deciding on which one to use. One of the main widely known packages used to integrate processes and applications in a manufacturing environment is Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP. ERP has evolved over the years from the earliest material requirements planning and manufacturing resource planning packages. It includes standard applications that manage planning and execution functions, including manufacturing planning and control. It provides information across department lines, and it automates many back-office functions. Companies may choose to work with a standard ERP package, a custom package, or have customized applications added to a standard package. ERP is a corporate-wide suite of integrated applications that serves many needs, including the supply chain functions. It is used to collect, store, manage, and interpret data from many business activities. It also automates many back-office functions relating to maintenance, training, technology, services, and human resources. So remember earlier when I said that supply chains can be more complex than they first appear. Here you can see the need for shared data by a broad range of departments and categories. Information is shared through various databases and management programs such as advanced planning and scheduling, customer relationship management, and supplier relationship management. It may be used by all of these departments or several of the departments shown below. Within the ERP system is a very important package that functions to integrate and coordinate manufacturing and support processes. It is called Manufacturing Planning and Control, or MPC. The MPC package is used to plan and control every part of the manufacturing process. This includes material and production planning and control, resource planning, and the coordination of efforts across the entire supply chain. We need to be sure that systems are appropriate for the type of manufacturing and supply chain environment. The MPC process is most often provided as part of the Enterprise Resource Planning system. Within the MPC system are subsystems. MRP is used to plan material requirements. Production planning is handled by shop floor control modules that are used to prioritize work. Supplier systems may have information flowing back and forth to the company's MPC, and other subsystems may be used for discrete decisions such as maintenance planning during production downtimes. So manufacturing planning and control organizes the individual functions shown earlier in our alphabet soup. MPC lowers costs and increases customer satisfaction through cross-functional synergy and goal alignment. Do you see how this is all starting to fit together? So how does demand management work? It covers all areas of demand, including production requirements, spare parts, warranty claims, intra-company needs, promotions, pipeline fills, and reactive conditions such as, say, hurricane damage. The demand management system plans all areas of demand. When conflicts exist, formulas and planning parameters within this system are used to establish priorities. This begins with the effort to coordinate sales and operations activities through a process called Sales and Operations Planning, or S&OP. This is a formal monthly process that takes input from many areas and finishes with an agreed-upon master production schedule. So, just briefly, S&OP is a formal process used to construct and maintain a valid current operating plan in support of customer requirements and business plans. It synchronizes hard orders and forecast demand, strategic and financial plans, and capacity into an agreed-upon master production schedule. It's important to differentiate between forecasts and plans. Forecasts are estimates of future demand typically agreed to in the monthly S&OP meetings. Plans, however, are how the company responds to these forecasts. In this illustration, you can see that near term, it's filled with customer orders. In order to keep production resources well planned, the future is filled with forecast demand. So a t-shirt company may run a batch of shirts with logos on them in anticipation of the upcoming Daytona 500. And they may wait to run a smaller lot when someone sends in a customer order for say 20 T-shirts for a family reunion. The first can be forecasted, but you would not want to run the second one until you had hard orders received. When you have different conditions to manage, a situation like a new product launch may require a significant amount of advanced planning and production in order to get a pipeline filled. Still, forecast demand may be way off if based solely on historical sales. An example would be a new Apple iPhone. What do you think Apple would do if they based future Apple i5 sales solely on historical data? So back to the chart. When managing production, as much as possible, changes within the frozen period to the left should be avoided. Master production scheduling takes the sales and operational planning information and disaggregates it into manageable pieces. It is the first time that we see the details of what the end items will be built. Look at the illustration, and to the left of the master production schedule block, you can see that the MPS is dependent on S&OP and demand management data, the stuff that we talked about earlier. It's also reliant on available capacity. We can analyze that initially through what we call rough cut capacity planning, or RCCP, and the available resources. So we've got resource requirements planning. So again, it adds to the complexity of what our work environment entails in the supply chain world. Sales promotions that do not take this into account, well, they're a waste of time and money and only leave customers dissatisfied. Companies choose a production strategy based on their abilities to produce as needed, or they carry inventory. Either way, or a combination of both, is how they satisfy their customer needs. There are different ways to do this. A chase system is used when inventories are kept low and production occurs only after an order is received. Level is a strategy where a manufacturer produces at the same level all year long, regardless of seasonality, spikes, or cyclicality. A company may subcontract work if it has spikes in demand and wants to use its existing equipment to its maximum, but is not interested in investing in additional capabilities. Finally, a hybrid solution combines features of some of the above strategies that best serve the company and its customers. So more definitions from APIX. Definition of inventory management is that those stocks or items used to support production. That could be your raw materials and your work in process items, component parts, supporting activities, your MRO type of activities, and customer service, finished goods and spare parts, things that are out in the warehouses, out in the distribution network to your customers. Aggregate inventory management is the way the upper management looks at the inventory on hand. From the business level perspective, it includes functions, objectives, financial implications, and performance measures. An item inventory management is what's looked at by the operations group, and it's used for planning and controlling inventory at the operational level. This includes order quantities, independent demand, control, and audit activities. So let's drill down deeper and look at inventory management. Inventory management manages the feedstocks of items supporting production, MRO, and miscellaneous customer service requirements. When we look at it from a corporate viewpoint, the aggregate inventory is most important, providing total levels of inventory investment, typically reported in dollars and days of inventory on hand. When we look at inventory at the item level, it's at the operations level, and we need to focus on the inventory for specific parts and details such as supplier performance, carrier performance, and the various paths that a part can take after being received. If we have a minimum inventory that must be kept on hand, how much should we order at any point in time? Well, that depends. We may decide that we won't order any more than we need. In that case, we'll order lot for lot. If we have a supplier who says you can only order in increments of 100, then we will order in fixed order quantities. If we get everyone to work together and figure out the best overall cost for the company, an economic order quantity or EOQ type model may be ideal. We may order a certain amount of inventory that will cover end periods of time. or we may combine these into a hybrid approach that is the best fit for our needs. At the start, what we may want to do is take those, run our needs through the various analytics in each of these models, and decide which one is best for us. So now when we look at what we should order, there are many models that can be used. These models, if used incorrectly, can have adverse impacts on performance measures. We can hold a lot of inventory that is worth pennies and still not impact our financial performance metrics if we manage our major component inventory levels. This is where the 80-20 rule, ABC, Pareto's law, it comes into play. We can manage by exception by prioritizing our planning time and effort in controlling the major dollar items while mostly ignoring the gnats and lice of the inventory. If we control the $1,000 items, say, nobody will question why we have double the recommended inventory for a 5-cent part. We will meet our aggregate inventory level projections and still service the production floor. MRP. MRP is another bridge. It's a bridge between the master planning and the factory production and supplier requirements. Performance is in two major business functions. You take the master production schedule and create a time-phased component priority plan for order releases and material receipts. It maintains and adjusts the priority plan to account for changes in customer orders, forecasts, material shortages, and production problems. Information is critical in scheduling the factory and its suppliers. MRP reaggregates all demand for each component and tells the planners when material is required. Along with lead times and other planning factors, MRP does the calculations necessary to release lower-level orders. It is also adaptive to changes in customer orders, material shortages, and other problems that come up. So here you see an image of an MRP system, and basically what it does is it takes 4 areas, brings them into the MRP logic, and spits out the planned production or purchase orders. Your bills of material, that's what you need to make a particular product or products. Your planning factors include things like safety stock, lead times. Your master production schedule is what we've been talking about for the last several slides, what's driving the demand side of this material requirements planning logic. So what should we produce, how many, and when? And then, of course, you've got to use your inventory status to see what's already on hand, what's on order, what should be added to the orders. Your MRP logic takes and performs a gross to net calculation. So it takes, say you've got a demand for 10 pieces in a week, and you've got 8 on hand already. Well, it takes a 10 minus the 8, and it says you need a net requirement of 2. With that, it creates a planned order recommendations, and it generates exception action messages. So say you've already got orders out there with a supplier, and a customer of yours cancels a major requirement. Well, that's going to cause you to want to go out there and reschedule those purchase orders out so that you don't have excess inventory on hand too early. So it tells you what should be ordered, what should be expedited, what should be canceled maybe, and what should be de-expedited or pushed out. You've got capacity requirements planning. We talked about rough cut capacity planning earlier. This is the next step in the process, looking at actual CRP. There are various ways to analyze capacity. It's a very critical part of the planning process, so it has to be mentioned here. But we're not going to talk about it today. It will be discussed in much more detail in the BSCM class. Once capacity planning is complete, we transition to the execution phase of production. Objectives are for individuals within various departments to execute the master production schedule in a final production area and execute the material requirements planning with feeder departments and with suppliers. We have to keep raw materials, components, and subassemblies to a minimum, especially in the work in process areas, and absolutely maintain customer service performance. The purchasing group. This group is also a very important participant in the supply chain. When you think about it, they're responsible for the production and shipping from numerous factories, and they can't directly control the decisions made within those factories. Who may have business with other customers that they deem to have higher priority than us? This is another reason to maintain strong and ongoing communication with your suppliers. Purchasing obtains goods and services in the right quantities, at the right quality, and the right cost at the right time. The purchasing group finds potential suppliers, requests that they quote on business, negotiates an agreement or agreements, then selects the suppliers to be used. They meet these objectives by sourcing and delivering materials when they're needed for all customers concerned. So we've come to the end of the supply chain process, and we need to control how the products get to our customers. Whether products are shipped through lengthy channels or drop shipped by drones, the customer is the ultimate decider on whether or not they're satisfied and going to return and do business with us again. This is another reason where marketing comes into play, another area. If we overpromise and underdeliver, customers will be unhappy and may not return. If we underpromise, we may not get the order because somebody else promised to their abilities, or maybe they even overpromised. Become aware of your costs and your capabilities. Become aware of your competitors' costs and capabilities. Become aware of your customers' needs. Become aware of your competitors' ability to satisfy those needs. And as a good friend of mine, Ofi Tobias, says, know how you're going to plan and control all your costs, including those on the unhappy paths of customer returns, deadheading, and premium supplier and carrier responses to key customer needs, and manage your supply chain. So today we ran through at a rapid pace all of these items. I hope I was able to link them together in a cohesive manner and provide a better understanding of the complexities present in supply chain management. A couple areas we didn't address. We did not address lean manufacturing and the theory of constraints. These are a couple of areas that are going to be critical if you want to pass the first CPIM exam. I wanted to keep this a little bit lighter, a little bit less intense, so we didn't even touch on those, but they're going to be covered extensively in the upcoming class. If you want to discuss parts of this program further, I'll be glad to hear from you at one of the phone numbers or the email shown. How about a few questions? I don't know if we've got anybody has any questions here. Okay, I don't. James, do you see any questions?
Hey, Greg. I don't see any questions right now, but Greg, thank you very much. That was awesome. You covered a lot of information, and I want to remind everyone that the chat box is the little dialog box at the top of the menu bar, and we do have a question, Greg. Do I have to be an APEX member to be certified?
No, you don't. I would recommend it. I think there are a lot of benefits to the APEX membership. But not only that, APEX members receive a discount on certifications and a lot of other things. Dinner meetings, I'd recommend the dinner meetings. But for the CPIM, for the Certified Supply Chain Professional, the exam fees are reduced if you're a member. What else do we have? I need to put on my glasses. Sorry, folks. How many examinations do I need to take to become certified? If you're talking about the CPIM, a CPIM requires 5. CSCP requires 4. But the first one is the basics of supply chain management, and that's what we're trying to touch with this webinar. As we move down the road, the plan is that we will have 4 weeks worth of classes. We'll have 6 weeks off time, if you will, and then another 4 weeks of classes, 6 weeks off. And in this way, I think we can keep everybody on a track who's going to come to the classes to take a class that'll last 4 Saturdays, then we'll go into the next one. So we do the basics of supply chain management in February. Then we would have the next one, master planning of resources, which would be the second one that would be recommended as the second exam to take. Then detailed scheduling and planning, execution and control of operations, and then finally the capstone of all this, which you absolutely would want to wait until the end, is the strategic management of resources. So I hope I answered your question there. Okay. We have times for down here. Again, I think I hope I answered that. We're going to have 4 Saturdays that we're going to dedicate in February to the basics class. So somebody asked, do you have times for the 4 classes? They'll be roughly 8 to 4:30 with an hour break in the afternoon, for lunch. Can this PowerPoint be printed? No, not at this point. Can I receive college credit? That's a good. I'm sorry.
On the PowerPoint, the recording is going to be made available on the apextampabay.org website, so they'll be able to go there and view it as many times as they like. And I'm going to try to get that posted tonight. Excellent.
Very, very good. Somebody's asking, can I receive college credit for taking this course? Not for taking the course, but for passing the APEX exam. You've got a group, I'm trying to remember, National College Credit Service or something like that. And they recommend, I think what you can get is if you pass the basics of supply chain management, you can get up to 3 credit hours for passing that exam. And that's pretty good for people who are trying to watch their money and going to college and maybe going for a supply chain management a degree. I think what you need to do, sorry with this one, I think my recommendation is once you finish with the exam that you contact APEX and they'll give you a transcript or something that you can use for your college. So the cost of the courses, I think they're in the $900 to $1,100 range. Is that right, James? But yeah, visit apextampabay.org and it'll give you all of the specific information so that we don't have to guess about it. Well, I hope that this was valuable. It's important that if you want to get into the basics class that starts February 6th, you need to sign up by this Friday so that we can get your participant materials ordered from APEX and delivered in time for that first class. Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Take care.
Thank you so much, Greg. We really appreciate it. And for anyone that needs more information, more details, Greg's email address is posted, gfoskey@techtransfer.com, or if you're on the APEX Tampa Bay website, you can click on the education at apextampabay.org link, and that will get you to an email, and we can get any other education and certification questions that you have answered. So thanks again, Greg, and thank you, everyone, for logging in for today's webinar, sponsored by APEX Tampa Bay, the Florida West Coast chapter of APEX. And with that, we will see you on our next webinar. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.